Organizers of the Viva Perry Latino Festival considered canceling this year's event due to the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Local 5's Emma Schroner explains why they went on as planned.
Throughout the year, Latino festivals are held across Iowa. Yet in 2025, a few have been canceled due to worries of heightened immigration enforcement. Amid these concerns, Viva Perry organizers decided to carry out their celebrations this year, and they say it's important to continue the town's tradition.
In Ottumwa and Washington, two of Iowa's most beloved Latino festivals were canceled this spring. In their announcements and conversations with Local 5, organizers noted concerns about ICE making an appearance at the festivals, which led them to halt this year's activities. Over in Perry, that fear was something planners considered.
We definitely took our precautions. We made sure that our community was well informed, that we shared different posts on Facebook to let people know of ways that they were able to be conscientious of what's going on.
Still, they ultimately decided to keep things running as normal.
Everybody deserves to have their moment of getting to enjoy their culture, getting to celebrate their heritage. It's all very important.
Organizer Caitlin McCauley says by celebrating this year, she and other coordinators can provide resources and answer some of the community's worries. Attendee Daniel Hernandez has been living in Iowa for 2.5 years now, and he shares a message to those who are anxious about the state of immigration enforcement.
With any bad thing that happens, if it happens, we just got to band together and make sure that the families that are left behind are taken care of and looked after.
He says the majority of those who come to the U.S. have good intentions, and he believes there's something many don't realize about the Hispanic population.
One thing that a lot of people don't see about Hispanic people is that we are welcoming to other cultures. When black people, white people, Asian people, or whoever come around us to the festivals, we want them here. We want to share what we have with them.
In Perry, I'm Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
A change in leadership will soon come for the Des Moines Fire Department. Local 5's J.D. Snover spoke with the current chief about why he's choosing to step away.
After over 30 years of service in the Des Moines Metro, Fire Chief John Takip is calling it quits.
I think right now the fire department's ready.
32 years after he first signed up to fight fires in West Des Moines, Chief John Takip will retire in December.
I grew up watching Emergency on TV, and did scouts and did lots of things. So when it came time to get out of high school, serving was a big deal.
So that service started with joining the U.S. Navy. And since every member of the branch is trained in basic firefighting, there was a natural progression there for Takip.
I had really good mentors. I had good people in front of me, and they were always encouraging and saying, do the next thing because you need to learn more.
His time as chief hasn't come without its challenges. He's seen a number of economic woes as recently as last month. That's when he went to the city council and recommended removing an engine from service on the south side based on internal data. That prompted backlash.
Chief, all due respect, you giving me data means nothing anymore.
Okay,
because what you've done in the past has proven to me you'll say whatever you have to say to get what you want.
That situation also prompted the firefighter union to call for Takip to step down. In a statement to Local 5, Union President Jill Van Hollen says in part, quote, "We wish the chief the best in retirement, and we are looking forward to the future."
Takip's last day will be December 22nd. In Des Moines, I'm J.D. Snover, Local 5 News.
The first day of classes at Iowa State got off to a scary start today. This morning, police received 2 calls about an active shooter at Fraley Hall and Parks Library. Thankfully, both calls turned out to be false. Local 5's Alex Fulton is at Iowa State with how authorities disproved the hoax reports.
Iowa State Police says the calls appear to be similar to ones made at other universities. Just last week, Villanova University and the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga received hoax calls about an active shooter.
I thought it was real for a second because I was, an active shooter, what is happening in the university?
While he was in class, sophomore Andy Chania heard from a friend that there was a shooter at his residence hall.
When I heard about that, I was an active shooter. I really wasn't nervous because I know the university is a secure place to be here. But like those threats are a little bit nervous to people.
Iowa State Police on Monday morning received a call that someone was walking around at Friley Hall with a long gun.
So we have a great video system that we could pull up and see that there was nothing happening.
Chief Michael Newton says while they were surveying Friley Hall, authorities got another call about an active shooter at Parks Library.
We were able to confirm that there was no emergency so fast that we didn't need to do any alerting other than talking with the people obviously that saw a heavy law enforcement presence.
With these fake emergency calls, there are indicators that can raise red flags.
Sometimes the phone numbers have international prefixes or phone numbers that are out of state, out of country. So we'll further vet that information. Sometimes when the calls come in, we'll hear abnormal noises.
Chief Newton says, hoax or not, Iowa State Police will respond to every report as if it's an emergency.
I think it's important to know that we take every call that we get seriously, and we're going to have an immediate law enforcement response. If you see something out of the ordinary, go ahead and report it.
Iowa State Police is working with federal partners to determine who made the calls and where the threats came from. From Iowa State, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Iowa State Police Chief is defending his decision to not issue an emergency alert for two separate active shooter calls on Monday. Both were false. Local 5's Alex Fulton is on campus tonight. Alex, you've learned some new information about the scare. What's the latest?
Stephanie, the active shooter calls came in separately, but it's unclear if they were made by the same person. The calls prompted Iowa State University Police to send a team to each of the scenes, and they quickly learned there was no real threat.
We knew it was a hoax immediately.
Iowa State Police Chief Michael Newton says the first active shooter call at Friley Hall came in at 9:01 a.m. It was quickly followed by a second at Parks Library at 9:07 a.m.
They weren't hearing any background noise, weren't hearing any screaming or any of that, just hearing the caller, which would be unusual.
You always want to take every threat seriously.
Retired Des Moines Police Sergeant David Murillo explained dispatch will ask a series of questions even with these fake reports.
They will ask people calling their office everything from, do you know where the threat came from? Do you know who made the threat?
While Iowa State police officers were arriving on scene, investigators at the police station checked security cameras. How many minutes did it take you between getting this call and coming to the realization that it was false?
It was within a minute or two.
Chief Newton says the quick response was due to the fact there were already extra officers on campus for the first day.
When there's situations like this, we don't really have to call the partner agencies because they all heard it on the radio. We do know that partner agencies were already en route.
Iowa State Police ultimately opted not to send out an emergency alert, a decision Chief Newton stands behind.
You know, an alert can cause people to respond in different ways. It can also trigger an emotional reaction, and then you're trying to assess as you respond, you know, why are people acting the way they are? Is it because we sent an alert out? Is it because there's actually an incident going on?
Iowa State Police are working with federal partners to determine whether the calls are related to other false reports made yesterday. Chief Newton pointed out that many of those reports were made at university libraries as well. Live from Iowa State, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Here in Iowa, there is a shortage of immigration attorneys and a significant number of people in need of their services. Local 5's Larissa Leone spoke with two organizations that are actively working to address this need. Larissa, how are they making a difference?
Well, Stephanie, the shortage of immigration attorneys isn't just happening here in Iowa, but across the country. And today, I spoke with two organizations working to help connect people with legal resources.
Iowa Migrant Movement for Justice managing attorney Ann Nefer discusses the shortage of immigration attorneys in Iowa by the numbers. There are currently 49 attorneys in the state that can assist you, along with 17 DOJ accredited representatives.
And if you divide that by the number of people who need legal services, that's about 3,000 people to legal service providers.
Nefer highlights the demand far exceeds what any single legal service provider can offer in terms of quality. In addition to the fact that immigration law is one of the most complex legal areas, Nefer notes financial challenges also contribute to the shortage.
So that means both they can't afford the kind of legal services they need, and those providing legal services don't have enough money to provide services because they don't have the people who can pay them for it.
Immigration cases sometimes take decades to resolve. Iowa MMJ is striving to connect individuals with the legal services they require. At Lutheran Services of Iowa, efforts are underway to meet individuals where they are by providing alternative legal aid options.
We are in the process of having a few of our staff become Department of Justice accredited legal representatives so that they will go through training and be able to offer immigration legal services.
This program is already in progress at Iowa MMJ and is in great need after major legislative changes have led more people to seek out professional help.
Some people may have gone through and applied for immigration services on their own in the past. Now they are very afraid of making any kind of mistake, and so they do reach out to immigration professionals.
Iowa MMJ also says the increase of ICE presence within the state is also contributing to more people reaching out. Their team routinely checks in with ICE and also accompanies people to ICE check-ins to help mitigate the fear for those who are going through the process legally.
Bondurant Farrar High School reopened this week with some more space and some new facilities, all for students and staff.
And those upgrades were made possible by a $48 million bond referendum passed by voters last year, and also several other projects are now still in the works. Our Megan McPherson is back here to take us inside the school for a look at what's new. And Megan, I know that school leaders say these additions, they were much needed.
Yeah, absolutely, Dana and Joseph. Over 800 students were welcomed back to Bondurant Farrar High School this week. That is more than double the student population when the school first opened its doors in 2010. So you can imagine that space is pretty tight inside the school. Well, we're going to take a look here. Now, thanks to that $48 million bond, several new spaces were added to the school's east side. That includes a larger fitness center and weight room with more equipment options for students. And there are also 3 new related arts classrooms and a new wrestling room for both the boys and girls programs. And it's not just new spaces. Old ones were also reimagined. The former wrestling room is now an extension to the lunch area, which will give all students the chance to eat together, something they couldn't do before. Also, the old weight room, now home to the school choir. A lot of changes. Administrators I spoke with thrilled to welcome returning and new students into these upgraded spaces designed specifically for them.
We're very proud of our fine arts and our academic departments, and this is just another tool for them to help students reach their potential.
Just to be in a state-of-the-art facility feels pretty good for our kids, and I'm just really happy for them. I feel really good about their opportunities to be successful with these new facilities that they get.
There's also some major work happening outside this school. A new baseball and softball complex is being built, along with tennis and pickleball courts. I know that's something that the administrators say that the students and staff are really excited about. The city of Bondurant is assisting with that project. We know that pickleball has obviously been exploding in popularity, and they want the community to be able to use those courts as well. Now, Superintendent Rich Powers says that between 70 and 100 students join the district every single year, and these new facilities will allow for continued growth in the years to come.
The results of a state Senate special election on Tuesday are now gaining national attention as unofficial results point to a seat flipping in northwestern Iowa. Local 5's J.D. Snover followed up to find out why that is.
Democrat Caitlin Dray defeated Republican Christopher Prosch in a special election on Tuesday, according to unofficial results. A Republican supermajority will become a simple majority when the Iowa State Senate returns to session in January. That means while Republicans do still hold both chambers and the governorship, the 2/3 vote they need to approve any administration appointees won't be quite as easy to find.
It gives us a sense that we will be more part of the mix than we have in the last couple of years.
Caitlin Dray will be the new face at the Capitol in the second half of the assembly.
When you return to your district and you come back and talk to voters at their door, they don't care if it is red or blue or top or upside down. It's what matters to them and their pocketbooks.
It's also one piece to the national puzzle that those who analyze politics are watching.
At this point, political pundits are looking for any indications that they can find of how the midterm election is going to go at the national level. So this is, one indicator.
The election saw just over 7,500 total votes cast. According to Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate's office, that's 24% of the total registered voters in the district.
I think it's a reason to be cautious about what kind of conclusions that you draw.
In a statement to Local 5, Iowa GOP Chair Jeff Kaufman downplayed the results, stating Democrats, quote, were so desperate for a win that they activated 30,000 volunteers and a flood of national money to win a state Senate special election by a few hundred votes.
In Des Moines, I'm JD Snilver, Local 5 News.
Well, today was day 3 of the new school year, and it's the first since a new law went into effect that restricts cell phone use in schools. Local 5's Emma Stroner spoke with teachers about how the first few days have looked with this ban.
Cell phones have become part of our everyday life, yet for schools in the metro, they're no longer part of the classroom. Over at Hoover High School, the school district implemented a cell phone ban last year, getting ahead of the new state law.
Our school was the first in the state to make that step and say, you know, hey, there's something going on here with cell phones and Generation Z.
That's something Principal Quinn Kelly is referring to. She says it's a list of negative effects that researchers say are connected to cell phone use among kids.
This is a war against depression and anxiety in Generation Z.
Kelly says since cell phones were prohibited during class time, mental health issues have gone down and grades have gone up.
Last year, our A's and B's went up 33%.
Valley is another high school integrating these cell phone rules, utilizing a caddy system to keep phones away from students and their backpacks. Principal Shane Christensen says the school has a plan if there's an emergency and students need to reach their parents.
We would have students grab their cell phones, and as they left or evacuated or did whatever, and we would instruct them what they should tell their parents.
He says in just the first 3 days of class, students are connecting more than they ever have before.
We have seen students interacting more in class. They're having more discussions.
Kelly says even at home, students aren't as gravitated towards their smartphones.
They didn't know there was a different way.
In Des Moines, I'm Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
A nightmare unfolding in Minneapolis this morning during the first week of the new school year as children attended Mass at Annunciation Catholic Church and School. A gunman opened fire from outside, killing 2 children, sending 17 more people to the hospital. The gunman has been identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. Minneapolis police confirmed Westman did not have a previous criminal record, and the firearms that were used at the scene were legally purchased. Now, parents rushing to the scene in this neighborhood to pick up their kids, first responders then securing the area and trying to find answers for the many questions that follow tragedies like this one. Our Dana Searles made the trip to Minneapolis this afternoon and has been on site trying to learn more as this story unfolds. Still a lot of shock in what has been described, Dana, as a typically quiet and tight-knit neighborhood.
Well, Stephanie, I think you described it perfectly. A lot of shock right now. You can see it on just everybody's faces throughout the community. I mean, I'm even in shock myself driving up here and just seeing this. But I can tell you from morning to night, this mood has really stayed the same. A terrifying tragedy is how many are describing this. I mean, an 8 and a 10-year-old killed while praying and worshiping at church. I mean, that is just heartbreaking to hear. That's not how you want to send your kids off to school. It's no call any parent ever wants to get. And to know that there's 17 others injured in this situation, I mean, really a mass number of people here that are dealing with a lot of these emotions that are really hard to put into words. But despite the scene right now, it is still active. There's still caution tape surrounding this school. Police are still out here investigating, but I can tell you it has really shifted to show the power of community. One good example of this is right here. You can see flowers, teddy bears, candles, balloons are being laid, and this is really throughout the entire church. You can see in many different points there are these types of flowers being laid, as well as tonight there were candlelight vigils, prayer services. The power of community is coming through in this town in South Minneapolis. You can see it in people's faces. It is heartbreaking to see, but this horrific moments of that entire day will be felt for a while.
They opened the church and I walked inside the church with the police officer, with the first one, and the things that I saw, I don't wish any families ever in their lives because it was terrific, and I hope that nobody else goes through this because it is horrible.
A wave of calm even in this tragedy in the wake of it, at least. I want to show you
And I can tell you, just driving up here, you really can't prepare yourself for the moments when you get here. We got here right around that second press conference today, so right around 2 o'clock. And I can tell you, a large media presence, but also a large neighborhood presence. People were coming to learn more information about what was happening. People want answers, and there are still a lot of questions that are remaining, that are looming. We are working to find all the details. What we can tell you right now, the FBI says it is investigating this as an act of terrorism and a hate crime against Catholics. So a lot to be answered here, a lot still being investigated. We will be staying on top of this from Minneapolis. I will join you with the newest information tomorrow on Good Morning Iowa. But for now, we're live in Minneapolis. Dana Searles, Local 5 News.
The wave of emotions is hitting those right here at home as well. Local 5's Larissa Leone is here now with how local faith leaders are reacting. Larissa.
Stephanie, Iowans headed to Mass today with the Minneapolis community on their mind. I spoke with local Catholic leaders about how they're getting our community through this tragedy, as well as what mental health resources you can turn to.
A somber tone rang through the sanctuary of Mass at the St. Ambrose Catholic Church in Des Moines.
We pray to the Lord.
Iowans taking part in prayer just as those at Annunciation Church in Minneapolis were before a gunman approached the church, opening fire with a rifle, killing 2 children and injuring several others.
For all parents, may they know the love of Christ and with his grace model it for their children. Let us pray to the Lord.
The Des Moines Catholic Diocese shares the pain is felt around the world.
The disregard for little ones is unexplainable. It's a reflection of evil and brokenness in our world.
The diocese says in situations like these, where many feel powerless, it's best to turn to the power of prayer.
Pray for the students, for the families, for the teachers and educators, the first responders. Pray for everybody involved in that shooting.
Catholic mental health therapist Colin Priest advises parents communicate the gravity of these situations with their children. Priest offers some advice on how to approach the difficult conversations.
You can allow yourself as the parent to be that external mind and help the kids find the words.
Priest says people of all ages can also turn to your local Catholic mental health providers by visiting the Diocese of Des Moines website. Find the page called the Mental Health Ministry.
But you can go on that website and find Catholic-aligned therapists who are in line with our values and our faith and can help you get the help that you need.
The biggest takeaway from those mental health professionals is just being together in the community right now, whether that's in moments of silence or speaking to each other, crying with each other. It's just being together that is the key that's going to help you through these hard times. In Des Moines, Larissa Leone, Local 5 News.
The Minneapolis mass shooting is resonating with the Central Iowa community, still grappling with its own tragedy. Just over a year and a half ago, a school shooting took place at Perry High School. Local 5's Alex Fulton visited Perry to find out what the Minneapolis community can take away from the town.
Since the 2024 Perry school shooting, the community has leaned on each other to get through grief. The hope is that Minneapolis will do the same, coming together in times of tragedy.
My first reaction was just, I can't believe this is happening again.
For Reverend Andrea Brownlee, the Minneapolis school shooting felt all too familiar.
It affects the whole community, as we found out here in Perry. It doesn't matter where it happens.
The night of January 4th, 2024, the First Christian Church pastor helped organize a prayer vigil. That's the same day a gunman opened fire at Perry High School, killing 2 and injuring 6 others.
For me, anyway, and I assume many people in the community will be thinking about Minneapolis longer than maybe others.
A lesson Reverend Brownlee learned is that you can't control others' actions, but you can teach people to be a better person.
I think that's not something that you come back from, but you move forward out of it. Who are we now? What are we doing?
She advises people in Perry who are struggling with the recent news to talk with church leaders and therapists.
You're not abnormal for feeling however it is you're feeling because of what has happened in Minneapolis.
Reverend Brownlee recommends that the Minneapolis community uplift one another in these trying times.
Support one another in whatever ways you can. That might just mean sitting beside somebody who doesn't know how they're feeling or doesn't know what to say.
The town of Perry grew stronger after the unthinkable, and Reverend Brownlee wants the same to happen in Minneapolis.
Coming together as a community to support one another, wherever you are in life's faith journey or not. This is a whole community effort to recover and to move forward out of it.
Reverend Brownlee will be praying for the families, the Annunciation Catholic Church, and the entire Minneapolis community at her next Sunday service. In Perry, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Perry Schools, in a statement, said their hearts go out to the students and families in Minneapolis. The district added, quote, "We know all too well the lasting impact such events can have, not only on those directly involved, but also on others who are reminded of their own trauma." The USDA is rolling back a grant and loan program supporters say was designed to increase rural economic development through renewable energy. Some Iowa farmers are not happy with the program change, and Local 5's JD Snover find out why.
Yeah, Stephanie. Well, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins says wind and solar infrastructure is stealing farmland from young people who are looking to get into the business. That's why the Rural Energy for America program has been put on pause.
Well, it's just nuts.
As input costs for farmers rise and commodity prices fall, the U.S. Department of Agriculture is putting a pause on a grant program that provides grants and loans to farmers who wish to use renewable sources like solar panels and wind turbines. In a release last week, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said in part, quote, "It has been disheartening to see our beautiful farmland displaced by solar projects, especially in rural areas that have strong agricultural heritage. One of the largest barriers of entry for new and young farmers is access to land. But some local farmers, like Mike Carberry, who spoke at an Iowa Farmers Union event today, say the USDA's choice is placing restrictions on families who have owned their land for generations.
It's your own land that you're farming, and all you're trying to do is reduce your costs as a farmer or a rural business so you can make more money.
According to a report on Iowa's renewable energy sector from the American Clean Power Association, wind and solar energy are projected to produce over $125 million in land lease payments to farmers by 2030. And on top of economic benefits, Carberry says solar panels are duly beneficial on the farm because the animals can graze and keep the area around them free from grass.
It's rotational grazing, and they'll graze a certain area and they'll have electric fence and then keep moving them. And it's actually cheaper for these solar developers and the owners to pay basically these sheep to mow the lawn.
While applications for the program are paused until the end of September, Rollins did indicate in the release that smaller projects are likely to still be approved moving forward. That means any type of solar system under about 50 kilowatts.
We are just 2 days away from what Iowa AAA says is one of the busiest days on the road. Local 5's Emma Stroner is here to preview Labor Day travel, from safety tips to gas prices.
Stephanie, many Iowans are packing up right now to travel for Labor Day weekend ahead of travel plans tomorrow and Saturday. AAA says most drivers start their road trips Saturday afternoon. Last year during this time, Brian Ortner with AAA says his team responded to over 300,000 calls for roadside assistance across the country, including ones in Iowa.
The top ones we see would be those who would need help with a flat tire, those whose battery may have died, and there are those unexpected ones too, where you just need a tow because something happened to your car.
He wants drivers to do the proper maintenance before taking off, especially during a warm weekend.
Get the oil change, get your tire checked, get your batteries checked. In the summertime with this heat, they're working as hard, if not harder, than they do in the winter to keep up with cooling your cars and dealing with the heat they're experiencing as well.
The holiday weekend typically increases road travel every year, but numbers could get even higher due to decreased gas prices. Gas Buddy, a fuel savings app, reported the lowest Labor Day gas costs in 5 years, sitting at a projected national average of $3.15 per gallon. Here in Iowa, the numbers match that trend.
Specifically to Iowa, today's average is $2.92 across the state, and a year ago we were at $3.21.
In general, Ortner says holiday travel has been trending upwards for a few years now, and he believes COVID plays a part in that.
As we've continued to be 5 years out from COVID, as something that's still with all of us, that the trips are a need to do now, not just a wish list item.
In Des Moines, I'm Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
All right, Emma, thank you. And to keep impaired drivers off the road this holiday, AAA is providing a tow-to-go service where Iowans can call for a free ride to anywhere within 10 miles of pickup. The rides start at 6 p.m. tomorrow and continue through 6 a.m. on Tuesday. To use the service, AAA says call 855-286-9246.